Good morning and welcome to the Raw Uncovered Truth of the Awakened Soul with Christy and Nicole. We're going to do things a little bit different today, and I'm going to hand it off to Nicole for our message.
Hey guys, welcome to today's podcast. And we're going to do something a little bit special and really try to focus on self-love today. The message I have is the notion of love yourself and all will be perfect is tricky and somewhat confusing to the subconscious mind. We cannot acquire the skill to love ourselves or attain a sense of wholeness and power through learning. Rather, we can only remember, connect, and awaken ourselves to the innate love that already exists within.
I love that message so much. And it talks so much about the difference between self-love and pride, because so many people get so caught up in self-love and pride, and it seems to be mixed up in a lot of people's minds. Self-love, it is having healthy, positive regards for yourself, nurturing your body, setting boundaries. And pride is more about, it's kind of like implementing satisfaction from what other people say to you or tell you. So that's the difference in that sense. And it's like, how do you get around that? Because so many people get stuck in putting their self-worth by what people think about them. So today we're going to talk a lot about kind of the difference between self-love and pride and the way to put yourself first.
Yeah, I think it's very easy for people who are not fully awakened or in the awakening process to get those very confused because pride tells you to do one thing and love yourself one way, where self-love and being honoring your true self is a totally different thing. And self-love is as easy as saying no to something, or not repeating a past pattern, or like it literally is like the most smallest thing. But it's also about being in your truth, right? Standing in your authenticity, and that right there is self-love. So every single time that you deny yourself the truth, right? And you deny yourself who you really are, and you deny yourself your authenticity, that is not self-love. And that is kind of going with your pride and what you think people should expect from you, or like not how you should present yourself, or whatever the case may be. But getting down to like who you truly are, which kind of like bounces off of our last podcast of know thyself. Knowing thyself is like really the truest form of power, because that's when you know exactly what your body needs, what your spiritual body needs, what any form energetically and physically that you need, to love yourself, to like really like hone and honor yourself, to the fullest. So I think that's a really big deal, especially, right now with the mass awakening and not only, the rising of the feminine, but like, I want to say the tearing down of the masculine, right? Because I mean, that's basically what's happening to the masculine. They're tearing down, whereas, the feminines, they're also rising, but like, they're like being more ripped open, whereas we are going within, yes, same way, but we're rising into our full power, where we've, not had that at all.
Right. No, it's so true. And we've been so conditioned in life by the people around us, our family members, the people in the outside world. We're so conditioned to look at our achievements and place that as, self-love. Oh, well, I achieved this, or I have satisfaction when I look at this situation, and really taking away from, who you are inside, because in any moment, all of those achievements, all of those accomplishments, those, you know, goals that you place upon yourself, they could be ripped down and taken away from you at any moment. And if you don't have self-love and self-worth, real true to yourself, then you're going to feel like you have absolutely nothing. And then you have to start all over again from square one. And you have to really, go within and look within yourself and see the inside and say, okay, I'm placing emphasis on things that really don't matter. Why was I so conditioned to believe that this is all I am?
Right. Well, that also goes with all the societal beliefs and right is where you're limiting yourself to believe that, it's based your happiness is based on a promotion. Like it's an outer thing where everything, coming into your true self is within you already. So like there's no out, it's not a job title. It's not, the way that your family sees you. It's not, being the best mom, although being a good mom is, like just parent in general. It's about everything that's within you, right? So that's what makes you achieve to the highest form. It's not, something materialistic or something, in the physical. It's all, within yourself.
Right. And so many, I think this is where the divine masculines really struggle, because so many divine masculines, they place their worth on their achievement, their, how much money that they make in a certain job position, how they're seen. And this is where I think divine masculines really struggle in this situation to find self-love. And I know so many masculines that, as they get older, and they retire and they leave a job, they become very depressed, only because they don't know who they are outside of who they were in their corporate world or their corporate life, and then they're left to rediscover themselves. And it's a very hard task. So if men at a younger age can start to really be able to look within inside themselves and see the differential of what's important, in one's soul compared to what's important to the outside world, I think that they would struggle a lot less on the level of really being able to move forward spiritually.
Well, the divine masculines have also been stuck in this, I don't even know how to I mean, basically what you just said, but like, the societal belief that that's what makes them, right? Their career is what makes them, the decisions they make, is what makes them when, they lost their true selves, a long time ago. Like I think they're more damaged than the feminines, to be honest. And the feminines have lost a lot, over the hundreds of years, right? But they've been so like, diverted as so, so have we. But like,
Right.
just overall, both of, the divine, the feminine and the masculine, need to know, need to go within and like know your true self, right? Knowing your true self, knowing who you really are, what you're really here to do, and like that kind of just, breaking the illusions, like that's what breaks down the illusions of who you're really not and who you're forcing yourself to be and who you're like, I guess forcing again, like forcing this like version of you out there when that's not you, and it's okay to be you, and like that's what the most authentic and most genuine thing is to actually like be you, to know you, to love on yourself, and then like kind of everything comes through. That's actually like the channeled message that I got yesterday. It was also like, the truth will set you free. Being your authentic, genuine self releases the heavy weight you carry, making it yeah, because I can't even read my own handwriting. Making it easier for you to love yourself with no restrictions, be healthy and radiant in that glow. So, I also, because it just went on, to have that power to show the world who you really are, that's true love, right? So
Right.
that's like true self-love. And then and it also attracts in a significant, like a significant amount of love from source. So like, right. So it's so funny because I'm like even translating my own message right now. But like, and it's true, like the universe mirrors that, it amplifies the energy. So like if you're
Right.
putting out all of this like self-love and like getting to know, like your true self and honoring that and really like stepping into your power and living in your divineness, I don't know, your oneness, and like shining it bright and radiating that. That's what the universe is going to, bring back to you. And it's going to be, in like multiplied, like completely amplified. And you're going to feel like, you're in a state of like, I wouldn't say quite ecstasy, but you're in a state of like, you just feel like you're glowing, right? Like you're really like, magnetizing and radiating off, this this power that like you didn't even know that you had. But again, that only comes when, you're doing the work on yourself, and you're really investing in, who you really are. And then your true self, like shines bright. Unless, of course, you run into me and Christy and we could read your true self, in 1, 2, 3, and then we're like, oh, take that mask off, buddy. You got work to do because, we know what you're really capable of. So it's nice when you actually live that and come into your own fruition of, like of what you really can attain, being in your, in yourself, like being your true self. So I think that's pretty cool. And it's not easy to get there.
No, it's not easy to get there, but that's when you really do shine your brightest. I mean, as women, I think we place so much emphasis on now, our looks or comparing ourselves to other women. And until we can really break free from that and really go within and live in our heart space and say, okay, I don't need to do all this stuff to impress other people. What do I need to do to feel good about myself? And like you were saying, Nicole, when you start to do that and when you start to place emphasis in your own heart space, that's when you really shine. And that's when you're the most attractive to everybody around you because you're giving off this natural radiant glow that's coming from within. It's not coming from the outside. It's not a mask. Like you were saying, so many people walk through the world in a mask. I'm going to get up in the morning and I'm going to put on my makeup and I'm going to go out in the world and I don't really feel like I'm me. I'm just living like a robot from day to day. I mean, that's not a good energy to have and people will definitely pick up on that right away. So it's just really once you start to live in your authenticity, that's when you become like a beaming light to other people and they just automatically want to attract to you. And that's when you really can live your authentic life, I think.
Yeah, I just want to like backtrack on what you said. Of course, masculines, you're not wearing makeup in the morning, or I would hope not anyway. But that was just like a comment to the but to each his own, whatever at this point. But no, like self-love is kind of dealing with, the shame, the guilt, the shadow, all these aspects of yourself that like you really need to just like, and we've spoken about this on I can't even I think it was episode 9, could have been episode 8, like loving every aspect of yourself. So like going back to certain, periods of time in your life and reliving that scenario, obviously you're not physically, like you're mentally picturing it and living in that, back in that scenario, and like going up to that version of you and and hugging it or giving it a pound or high five or a kid, whatever it is, that it needs, and just loving on that. You got to work on those shadows, you got to work on the guilt, you got to work on the shame. These are all things that are suppressed within us, and these are all things that are not meant, believe it or not, to weigh heavy on us. It's literally, the whole journey is about like breaking everything down and knowing your true self. So these are just all things that like have come at you, like in this lifetime, or many, but we're focusing on this lifetime. That come at you, and that you have to process out. I do kind of want to read something about shame. I'm gonna do that. Okay.
Yes, please do.
All right, here we go. Have lots of things to share today. I feel like I don't even know. Um, with shame, we must offer fierce self-compassion. Forgive yourself. Understand that you are human and humans are imperfect. Forgive yourself for any mistakes or shortcomings. Forgive yourself for feeling shame. Treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer to your best friend. Practice self-love. This is a broad term, but self-love can be the simplest act. I said that before. Engage in activities that bring you joy and make you feel loved. Cultivating self-love will counteract the feelings of shame. Our spiritual practices and commitment to sacred. Oh, no, we're not going to read that. That's good. We're going to leave it right there. Or we'll leave it right there. That's too much for everybody else to handle. But that's basically what it says. And then I could also, I guess, although let me see, okay, right. Okay, so with shame, it is advised to seek support also, like, so if you can't process it yourself, that's why there's all these, holistic spiritual guides out there. Just, again, and I've said this, many times, use your discernment, use your, like your intuition to guide you on, who to work with. There's so many out there. Some of us are not genuine, some of us are, some of us, like, but again, you have to feel the connection and work with work with who you, feel comfortable with. Also gratitude, forgiveness, and focusing on the positive in our reality, as well as letting go of the old beliefs and ways of being that share the same dimension as our shame. So anything that's like linked to your shame, like kind of, you know, they're just weapons. So like just kind of clear that out and start, like if you find yourself going in that direction, tell yourself no and like, move forward, move in a different pattern. And that right there is, complete self-love.
Yeah, I think the
It's
biggest
trans
thing with
power. Go ahead.
I think the biggest thing with self-love is learning how to pick yourself up when you fail.
Yeah.
Self-compassion is you have to be human. Like you have to remember you're not perfect and failure doesn't define you. It actually helps you grow. So one of the biggest things is just learning how to be self-compassionate to yourself. Like you said, like you would to be a friend or a family member, and you're self-compassionate, learning how to be self-compassionate to yourself, finding the good in the failure, because anytime that we fail in life, it hurts and it pushes us down so bad, but it is in those moments that really define who we are and makes us want to change for the better. So we have to be kind to ourselves in those moments, because failure is it's a part of life, and we shouldn't be shameful for that.
Right. So it's like, well, yeah, so if you had a bad day and you're going, and you feel yourself going down, what would you say to your best friend? Would you tell your best friend, well, okay, well, I'll go down, see you, like drink a bottle of whatever and call me in the morning? No, you're going to be like,
No.
oh my God, you're amazing, you're this, you're that. And that's like, what you have to tell yourself. It's again, like while external people or situations can evoke love within us, no one and nothing can either take or give love to us. This is a fundamental truth. It's we have the power. Like everything is already within us to do, to produce that love. Like we are love. Like we are built on love, believe it or not. I know like society has really like dimmed us significantly, but like it's all about, like going within, finding that love for yourself. So anything that you would do for anybody else, you have to do for you and do more, because it's
Right.
you and for yourself.
Right. You
Uh,
have you have got to give yourself the love that you would give to others. And I think a lot of people think too, like self-love and asking people for help is different than being codependent. Because I think so many people on the journey think like if I need help, then I'm being codependent. I'm not doing the work on my own. But that's not true. Sometimes we need help. We need to have somebody to sit down with to talk through our problems, to help us work through them, to see like where we're blocking our work and why we're not giving ourselves self love and self compassion. So I need to stress that too, because I think a lot of people think that vulnerability is codependency, and it's not.
No, vulnerability is being your true self, is literally putting your authentic self out there. And that is very crucial to you, like breaking down everything and the illusions and the veil and everything else, the masks and it is being in your true state of being, which is vulnerability, like
Right.
you're not going to be taken advantage of, like that, like you have that sense, right? You're not gonna so like get that that's just a fear actually that you have of being taken advantage of. If you're standing in your power, not one thing can take you down, can take you out of that. And you have to remember that. So being vulnerable is just part of being your true self, right? You're open to expressing yourself, you're open to receiving, you're open to like, just a massive amount of like love and magnetizing in your manifestations. I mean, that's you being in your true self. That's that's huge. Vulnerability is huge. I don't even know why it's called vulnerability. It's literally just you opening up to the world and
Yeah,
showing
it's
everybody who
showing.
you are.
Right, showing exactly, that's exactly what I was going to say. It's vulnerability is showing people who you truly are. And, and that's, involves being open and honest with your experiences, with your feelings, your needs. And it does mean that you will risk rejection and judgment, but you're showing people who you truly are. So if they can't respect that, then once again, they're not meant to be in your life. You
Right.
know,
They're not your group of people.
right. Vulnerability is self-awareness and it requires courage.
Ooh, I like that. I really like that. That was like a nice flow. Because it is. It really is. Okay, so with that, I'm gonna go with, loving your shadow. You have to do your shadow work. And a lot of your shadow work is, breaking down those lies and opening that heart as a divine masculine, and releasing all of those, limiting beliefs on yourself and all those illusions that you have out there. Like it's, like understanding, and this is like loving the shadow self, right? So like understanding and acknowledging the shadow and its darker aspects, those elements within us that harbor desires for control, domination, or even revenge is a crucial step in a personal growth, right? So embracing and loving this part of ourselves is essential. Completely essential. Like I can't even like stress how it is. And while it may be uncomfortable to recognize, it's important and self-loving to confront and accept it. So if you are having, a problem dealing with your shadows, listen, as light workers, we understand that, and that's why we're here to support you. Do not be ashamed, and there's no such thing as being ashamed anyway. I mean, it's literally like an illusion that you have of yourself. Ask for help. Ask for help, and that there's nothing wrong with that. Um, you have to ask, you have to, like get through these things, and by acknowledging this, the like dark side of us, I would say our shadow selves and like all of, and that's where all like our trauma is stored and everything else. And that's why we have all of these like, triggers. And that's why, like some of us are in like that manipulation, stage, because that is like, it's a defense mechanism. It's like
Right.
holding you there. So like, we empower ourselves to move beyond, control. So like, being in your shadow and stuck in your shadows is literally like it's like your ego takes over and holds control of you. And you have to just acceptance allows this facet of our psyche to be free, unburdened, right? So in doing so, we open the door to utilizing this aspect of ourselves in a healthy manner. So, exploration of the obvious, the shadows, is imperative, which I actually just said, and I'm just reiterating that. Gratitude is due to these seemingly harsh and subtle aspects, for they were created to protect us. I literally just said that, so I'm
Right.
literally just I'm validating what I just said. Like it was created, all these shadows, all your defense mechanisms, like, like you putting a front that you're cold-hearted, all of this, was meant to protect you. So you have to honor that. You have to say, okay, thank you so much. Like, I know I went through all of this. I appreciate, like, and you could talk to your ego, I appreciate, you stepping in and making, me feel comfortable and protected, but this is not the way that it should be. And I need to, like move and like, out of this control and be able to control things on a higher level. It's every facet of our shadow, no matter how brutal, is rooted in a desire to safeguard us and ensure our well-being. So, these shadows, it's an integral, oh my God, I'm not gonna be able to say that. It's an integral process. It's an integral part of, like a significant process that we go through. And that is, once you dominate your shadows, and some little things will come up every now and then, but like give yourself that self-love every single time they come up, and be like, okay, we did this already, love that situation, that shadow aspect and why you feel like you're being triggered or why you're being shown that or whatever the case may be, and just, and step into your power and be like, but we're past this. So, we're going to go this way instead of, going back down. And again, that's all self-love, right? It is truly the simplest thing. It's choosing a new pattern over a repeating pattern. It's saying no to anything and everything that you could possibly imagine. Whatever does not resonate with you at all, not even in the little bit, like the littlest bit, say no. It's no. You don't owe anyone, and I mean anyone, any reason of why you're saying no. You don't owe anybody an explanation.
Yeah. No, if it makes you uncomfortable, then you just say no. So many people, once again, that's placing emphasis on what other people think, right? If you
Right.
say no to somebody, you're carrying more. If you know it's not good for you, then don't worry about them. They'll get over it, or they'll find somebody else to take on the task. Like if it's no for you, it's no, and you just have to be honest and true to yourself and just say no, this doesn't work for me. Going back to the shadow self, Nicole, I'd like to talk about a little bit of a really good exercise that I personally use to go through my shadow self and things that, I was holding on to and using as a defense mechanism for a lot of times in my life. What I like to do is I like to kind of go through and say, okay, what are my shadows? And I like to, in my journal or a piece of paper, I like to write down like all the shadows that I have. So maybe the shadow is that I'm always on the defense, right? If somebody, says something to me right away, I think that they're making a negative comment to me or they're saying something about my character. So that's one thing big for me that I had to let go of. So what I would do is I would write that down, always defending my character. And then I would look at that and I would say, okay,
Actually, a really good one, a really good example. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, thank you. So always defending my character, right? And then I got to think about what happened to me in my life where I feel like I always had to defend my character. So then I would write it down, kind of brainstorm it. Like the reason why is because when I was younger, I struggled with dyslexia, and so many people said that I wasn't something. I began to believe that that's who I was. So I would write that down and I would write down all these aspects, right? And then once you see it and read it back to yourself, then you acknowledge it. And then when you get back in these situations where someone makes a comment to you, and right away you take the comment as something negative, but they didn't even mean it that way. They weren't even thinking about you in the moment. They just said something. You need to retrain your brain in that moment to say, okay, the old Christy would have, went on the defense and felt like I had to defend myself. The new Christy would just listen and nod and say, you know, okay, I understand that. I don't understand why you said that to me. Maybe you can explain it so I have like a better understanding, but not automatically go on the defense and
Ooh,
start to
I
like get triggered and angry. And when that happens and once you see it, it's such a powerful exploration of yourself to realize in those moments when you're doing these actions to pull back and change. And it's so interesting how just those little interactions, doing those little pullbacks, really retrain your mind to stop believing that all of those shadows need to be constantly pushed in your face.
right. So, having the shadow control you versus your shadow working for you and you
Right.
controlling it. I wanted to get back to that the point where you were using your voice. So like you said, like, oh, could you explain that to me? Like, like, why is it that you said that to me? Like, use your voice, people. That was a really good example. Like you like literally like nailed every like, aspect of that. Use your voice. So if you don't feel comfortable with something, use your voice, speak up. And I could see how that could lead to you thinking that that's, being soft and vulnerable. Like, oh, like, oh, can you tell me, but like it's the power in your voice, like you're asking a legit question, like you want to know, don't deny yourself anything. So like, if something's uncomfortable for you and you want to know more details, use your voice and and get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Be a truth seeker.
Yeah, because if you automatically, I like that. If you automatically go on the defense, what are you going to get from this conversation anyway? You're going to leave angry. You're going to feel worse about yourself. You're going to feel worse about the situation. If you just ask the question, then you letting your guard down automatically calms the other person, lets them let their guard down, and then they'll say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way," or "I don't want you to take it that way. That's not what I meant." And then they'll explain what they meant, and then you're like, "Oh, this person didn't even mean what I thought they were meaning," and I was ready to go on the attack for absolutely no reason. And then you don't get any answers, you don't get any direction from doing that. That happens often in, relationships of all kinds.
Oh, without a doubt, if you want to get into, relationships and that, it also, when you do hear something like that, that triggers you, you shut down and you don't hear anything else that the person says after that, right? I mean, that
Yeah,
it's just like, and the whole point is to be open and listen and understand and, understand why you feel the way that you feel when this person's saying it, not to, and like literally be open and be vulnerable versus, which is I guess, AKA having your guard down, like put your guard down versus, like shutting it down
shutting
one, two,
down.
three, and and not hearing anything. And that causes even more chaos for internally for you, as well as it does in the physical of being in that situation of that relationship as well, and in that communication aspect. Um, yeah, that was a very good switch up there. It's true because, like it is all about, the way you feel about yourself, which is why you have to get down to, like realizing why you do feel, certain things about yourself and go, and figure out why. Um, and again, like really loving that shadow aspect of yourself and like, embracing all the shame and guilt that you have. And I want to say that, I mean, it took a while for me to do the shame and the guilt. And I was even in that, like well, not this year because it's 2025, but like last year I was in that and dealing with that, being a mom and being in the situations that I've been in and I put my kids in and the guilt is ridiculous, but you know what? Guilt doesn't get you anywhere. Guilt just brings in all more guilt and more negativity and like makes you want to hide instead of, like stepping into your true power and like kind of putting, yourself out there as you and eliminating all of that. And that's what you have to do. You can't sit in, you can't sit in a version of you that you just don't fit into anymore. Like everybody, like again, you're human. Humans are dumb. We're dumb. We make mistakes. We have to deal with that. We have emotions. And these are things that we have to embrace as humans, right? N Never, ever, ever will we ever be perfect, but we will be like imperfectly perfect, I think is a good
Right.
way to put
And we
that.
can't we can't spend our lives looking in the rear view mirror,
Right.
because we're never going to go, we're never going to move ahead, or you know purge ahead if we're constantly looking behind us and remembering every bad thing that we've ever done or someone's ever done to us. You'll never be able to move forward. You'll be stuck in the rear view mirror. If you need to just push forward and move into the future and say that was the past. And believe me, I'm not trying to say it's easy to do. It's hard. And that's why I said, when you get in those moments and you get that trigger, someone says something or does something and it's a trigger, take a step back, stay in your mind for a minute, and then speak. Move away from the past. The past is in the past for a reason. The future is what's ahead of you, and you can't deny yourself of a better future because of what happened in your past. That's not fair. It's like kind of like with each day is a new beginning. So with each day, erase the past, and you have to do that in order to be able to live in the present.
In your peace. It's in
Yeah.
order to live in your sovereignty and your oneness. In order to be in a reciprocity, balance, in a balanced relationship with yourself, with with a union with yourself, union in your divine counterpart situation, everything. You have to listen. I don't care if, like everybody has a interesting past, right? Let's just put it that way. I'm not gonna bring up, certain scenarios or anything right now, but like everybody has a very interesting past. That is just a past version of you. That is something that you're holding and you're locking yourself into. You are not that person anymore. And yes, maybe some aspects are still trying to like drag you into that, but you're never ever going backwards, right? You're never ever going backwards. You're always going forward. So don't hold on to a past version of yourself that you are not that person anymore. But you just have to really like love that version of yourself and let go and just move forward. And like, and just go do something fun after you do that, and you re-hug that version of yourself, like go do something that makes you happy, like go get a nice cup of coffee or something. I don't know, like go to the gym, work out, go get a mani and a pedi if you're feminine, a massage, what, like whatever. But you have to always take that moment in any situation, right, that you are being shown of your old self. Love, right? Love and embrace that. Say thank you. I appreciate that. I understand. Like I learned my lessons. I am not that person. I am moving forward. I love myself. Like I honor myself. I'm not going to be, like I'm nowhere near that person and I'm moving forward. So, like always stand in your power. I think, and once you get there, believe me when I tell you, it's such an amazing feeling that you're never going to want to go back anyway. But yes, you will still have to every now and then, like things will come up and you'll just have to, like brush them away. Um, but yeah.
Yeah, and because when we do that and we move forward, we're no longer, because when we're in a bad place, we're constantly stuck in codependent relationships with people in our lives, because we're always looking for the outside world for self-worth, for, to determine, our who we are inside. We're looking outside of ourselves. So we will, when we're in that, we're not being vulnerable and we're stuck in the past, we're kind of like playing out constant codependent relationships. So it's only when we finally tackle that and move forward do those type of relationships begin to fall away from our lives. And until we can show balance in our lives between, different concepts of who we are, we're always going to be stuck in those type of low vibrational relationships.
Yeah, at what point when you do start working on yourself, you're going to really like your body's really going to tell you what's low vibrational and what's not. So you'll be able to like really feel that also as well. There was something that you said. You know, oh my God, boundaries. Like, building those boundaries, putting them out there also helps you, with getting out of those codependency relationships. And, codependency could look, like as when you're in a relationship with someone, you literally lose yourself because you're so worried about, pleasing them and them not going anywhere. And, like, and that, you have to put a boundary because you have to stand in your power, you know, um, I mean, I don't even know like how else to explain. Stand in your power, people. Let's go.
Yeah.
Awaken and get your shit together and
Well, when you're in codependent relationships, you struggle very hard for healthy boundaries because you've already put your self-worth into somebody else and you've let them take over, the importance more than your own self.
right.
So once you start to work on yourself, you begin to create healthy boundaries without even realizing you're doing it. And one of the biggest healthy boundaries is beginning to learn how to say no, and standing up for yourself like, no, this doesn't work for me, there's so many people, and I've been guilty of it in my own relationships where I let everybody's wants and needs come before myself. And I let somebody tell me what they were going to do, and I would get upset about it, but I wouldn't argue it. And I would just say, okay, okay, okay. But in my heart space, I was like, no, this doesn't work for me. Like, I feel like I'm betraying myself giving into this, but I do it anyway. So once you start to set healthy boundaries, all of a sudden that kind of changes, like just from the situation when you say, no, this doesn't work for me. And it's going to continue to not work for me. So you're not going to be able to, tell me, what I'm going to do and when I'm going to do it, because it's going to be shown that it's not okay anymore. And that person
And
will
that's
either,
self-love.
yeah, and that person's going to either respect that or they're going to fall away from your life.
Yeah. And again, that's self-love. I mean, that's all self-love. Putting your boundaries, speaking your truth, choosing you. That's all self-love. Like self-love is so it's so simple yet so complicated because we make it so complicated, but it's really not. It's just honoring yourself, honoring your truth. Self-love is taking care of yourself, treating yourself, doing something fun, like doing things that make you happy. But, and doing things making you happy, believe it or not. I know it's going to sound like absolutely batshit crazy, but doing things that make you happy is choosing yourself, is putting up those boundaries, is stepping into your highest version of yourself. That is all going to make you happy. Trust me when I tell you that. I'm not lying. I'm a truth seeker, so I'm all about, like getting to the bottom of truth and authenticity and genuineness. But like it's just all self-love and all self-happiness and self-care and it's an amazing thing. And I think everybody gets wrapped up in that, like, oh my God, how do I take care of myself? How do I do this? But like, and the different versions that you become, like sit down and ask yourself, okay, well, what is this version really like? Like, what's going to make this version happy? Not anything that's on the outside, anything that you could do for yourself, anything that you could do within, and eventually, if you're in a relationship, right? As if you're married and in a happy marriage and a happy relationship just in general, that's going to escalate and your relationship will get even deeper, because you are becoming into yourself, and you're going to be a mirror for, you know, your counterpart, your divine counterpart, and your divine counterpart's going to mirror the same thing back. When you are single and you are doing this and you're coming into union with yourself, you are going to pull in that divine counterpart anyway. That is on, if you're meant to, if that's, part of your contract anyway. That, mirrors the same thing. So you guys will always be working off each other, always be working together. And that's what makes you not only a power couple to yourself, right? For believing in you and getting rid of all the illusions and the limiting beliefs, but you're going to be a power couple with, your significant other as well. So all of that from self-love. Look at that. Self-love, self-care gets you like
No, and
so
it's
far
I
in the
agree
journey.
with that 100%. And I want to say too, I can contest that for many years of my marriage, I kind of lived in codependency at the beginning without even realizing it. I mean, I got married so young, and I thought that it was, uh a give and take. And at one point in my relationship, it really wasn't. I was very codependent on somebody. And, but then when I started doing my work and I started living in my true authentic self, I began to stick up for that part of me. And in my life, what happened was, yes, there was a little bit kind of like a tug and pull, and maybe things weren't amazing. No one's marriage is amazing, but it wasn't amazing all the time. But what happened is that I I began to level up, but I was lucky enough to have that in my relationship where the person that I was with wanted to level up with me and meet me there. Where I was very lucky with that, but I did struggle in codependency for many years until I started to do my work and see my self-worth.
Right. And it is a struggle. It is just that. It's when you're in struggle mentality. And that's and also, the struggle, the abandonment, the fear. I mean, those are all just they're limiting beliefs that you put on yourself, as crazy as that is. And we've all been there. And I think it's crazy when you awaken from those things because you're like, oh, I made myself go through all of that for like what?
Yeah,
For like,
it's
and then you could
but
be in those patterns for years at, like at a time. It's just crazy when you do wake up to that and you're like, oh, that's great. I put myself through hell and I didn't really need to.
Right.
So,
But it's
there's
just
always
so
that.
instilled in us too, like like even ancestral, right? Like with my mother and her mother. I mean, that's how life was. The man is the man and he works, and you figure everything else out. You take care of the house, you take care of the dinners, the children, the laundry, like you do everything. So when you come into that marriage with that belief system, automatically you're starting off in a codependent relationship without even knowing that you're doing it. It's only when you start to grow and learn yourself and really stick up for yourself that you start to realize that this was all programmed in you, from a child.
Isn't that crazy? I mean,
Yeah, and
it's
you don't
pretty crazy
realize it.
when the bell and the illusion
It
comes through. You're just
lives.
like, oh, okay then.
When it lifts, and then you're saying to yourself, this was programmed in me and I didn't even realize it. And I honestly thought that this is how life was. Like when I looked at, marriage, like that's how I seen it. That's how it always was in my family. So, and it was always the same thing. Like, or like no matter how unhappy you are, no matter how bad things are, like
Right,
you
you
always
stay
stay in
in
your
there, stick
relationship.
to
You
it.
never get a divorce. You never put yourself first. And it's great if you can move forward and work through your problems together. I mean, I'm not one to say if things aren't working out, just run, but there are a point where things don't work out and you need to move on.
Yeah, you will know. I mean, I was the, considered the black sheep because I was in my marriage and I was like, yeah, this is just not working. Like once I like kind of woke up to realize that the realization that like this is not this is not, this is not what it's supposed to be. Yeah, I got out. There was no working. There was no nothing. I was just like, yeah, so this is what I'm doing. I'm getting the fuck up out of this relationship before I literally crash and burn. And thanks for the experience. And I'm taking my kids and, and that's, that's the bottom line. But I personally would have loved if there, was a masculine who was willing to work with me and, and rise with me and we work together, like that power couple. I definitely I yearn for that. And it's not a want, it's not a need, it's the yearning. It's like the divine feminine pulling in the divine masculine. And I'm sure like a lot of people could relate to that. And the same pull, goes for the divine, masculine who's awakening is not, he's not needing, he's not wanting the divine feminine. He's yearning for that connection. He's yearning for that wholeness, not within him because that's already whole, but like, the whole picture, the bigger picture and like living your life out, as that power couple who again, and I just said this, who's just always, always growing, always, like leveling up together and, taking on the world together, which I think is incredible. So, and we're going to see a lot of that. I say that all the time, but we're definitely going to see a lot of that, a lot of those soulmates, higher end soulmates, which I guess we'll get in. We could do an episode about like levels of soulmates and twin flames and they're not just, there's several also, versions of twin flames as well, huh? That's probably a surprise to many of you as well. So, like it's just, there's so many divine counterparts out there, but just know that everything, even if you are in that divine relationship right now, and you're crumbling down to yourself and rebuilding yourself, that whole relationship is also, crumbling, but it may look positive, it may not look as negative, and it's not a negative thing because it's literally being rebuilt on this pure and genuine foundation, and it's going to thrive and it's really going to kick off, and I think that's incredible. And like you as a person who's also going through all of these changes are gonna, thrive and kick off and catapult as well. So it's the same thing. It's you being you, and then you have that union come in, whether you're in it, you're already in one or not. It just double amplifies the whole effect, right? I mean, would that be the way to describe it?
Yes. Yes, I agree. And that's why, once again, it comes back down to self-love and care, because we are, we're here to do, work. We're here to do earthbound work and higher even work. And we have to continue on that. And then the more work we do, the more they're gonna want to do their work. And that's how you come together as a higher level, as that power couple, radiating love and light into the world, however that may look, for your
Right. And that's also
situation.
the trickle down effect. So if you're in this really like awesome, union where you guys are marrying each other and you guys are doing the work and leveling up together, that's just a trickle effect. So the same thing happens when, the divine feminine does work on herself, right? But we're radiating that to the entire divine feminine collective, right? Same thing, but we're also, well, actually, we're not mirroring that to the divine. We're trickling that down. It's a trickle down effect. We're mirroring that out to the divine masculines who are doing the work, and then they're doing the work, and then they're making, that collective, it trickles down, and so on and so on. So
Mhm.
it literally is like a great awakening, like it's everyone's, working as individual, but as well as in a union to awaken, the pureness and the love and the genuineness, that's really out there for us to like indulge in, I guess would be the way, like
Yeah,
to like really like
because
take
the
in and
more, yeah, the more work you're doing on yourself, the more work that you're providing to the outside world, you're radiating that energy to your divine masculine, and they pick up on it and they feel it, and then they get these urges where they want to be doing that. They can feel that, and they're like, oh, I want to be doing, work on myself. I want to be out in the world helping people. I want to be giving advice. They feel it. Believe me when I say they feel it. I can contest to that. They can feel your energy, and then they want to take that, and they want to mirror you. They love the work that you're doing. They love the work that you're providing. They feel it on another level, and inside themselves they're like, I want to do this, and they know that they are worthy of that work.
yes, don't stay anywhere where you're not meant to stay. Okay, I don't know why that just came in, but it did. If things look when things get bad and your relationship is crumbling or it seems like it's crumbling, go with your gut. Is it crumbling to rebuild, right? Or is it crumbling because you're not meant to be together and it's like a really bad karmic situation, and it's you breaking free for the both of you to evolve and move on. You really have to use your intuition with that. So don't stay in a situation where you think that, oh, if you changed, your person's going to level up. Doesn't really happen, it's really nice when it does happen. I think it's like amazingly awesome to see that. But use your just use your intuition and know, what's right and what's wrong. And there could be plenty of people telling you, oh, you're my king, you're my queen, we're meant to be together. But you know what? That's also an illusion that they have, and they're sitting there and they're in this false reality, false matrix,
You
because they went to a tarot reader and that's what they said. You have to
know what?
really use your judgment and your intuition. Yes, everybody has a divine counterpart out there. Yes, everybody has soulmates out there, several of them. Everybody has, your divine higher up soulmate out there. But not everyone knows who their soulmate is, who their twin flame is, if you even have a twin flame here. You have to really like, if somebody's telling you that, like really use your intuition. If you're not feeling it and you're not feeling connected to that person and you feel no deep soul connection whatsoever, and all you do is hear these words, then it's not true. You
No.
have to feel something. Something in your body will be like, oh shit, yeah, this person's annoying, but oh, maybe they're right because I do feel like a deeper connection with them. Like, but if this person's just annoying you and you don't feel anything whatsoever in your body, like nothing tingles or like, there's no pull, then that person is not for you, no matter
You
what
know
they
what?
say.
Another way to use your intuition to know if someone's not for you, if you're sleeping in bed with them every night and you cannot even close your eyes to fall asleep because your anxiety will not give up on you, and your
Ooh,
body will not be able to relax. And you need to, in order for you to sleep, you need to get up and go into another bed or another room. That's your body telling you that this person is not, you're not meant to be with this person. This
that's
person's
your nervous
probably
system.
doing things behind your back that's, it's causing you to not even be able to relax your body. That's the biggest way, I think, to know that you don't belong in this relationship. Your body's literally rejecting.
Yeah.
this person.
That doesn't mean that you are taking yourself out of the bed and forcing yourself not to sleep in a bed with someone. That's totally different. What I'm saying is, what Christy's saying is, if you are, with someone and you're in that bed and you're not able to relax, your nervous system will tell you. Your nervous system will tell you. You
Mhm.
really just have to tune into your body, because your body
Mhm.
will let you know, when you're right in the right situations, and when you're not. And the more you do work on yourself, and the more you just like look in and be like, oh, okay, so what are we feeling and where's that coming from? You'll be able to differentiate, like
Right,
what you're feeling, and what is actually like mirroring off, like what it's bouncing, what it's trying to tell you
right.
is
Because if someone really loves you and you really love them, you're going to feel extremely calm being together. Your energy level is going to feel cool and calm and collective. But when someone's giving you constant anxiety and you're constantly questioning the way that you're feeling in your heart space, something's off. Your body's telling you something's off. Maybe it's not for you, or maybe at that moment it's not for you. I mean, that, sometimes we need to go away from a situation and then come back to it, and sometimes we need to just go away from it, but our body tells us so much. We just have to listen. I've had so many women tell me that, they experienced so much anxiety when they were in their marriage, and that the minute that things calmed down and they were out of the marriage, the anxiety disappeared
Oh yeah,
because
because
their
it's the
body was
energy. I mean, I
telling
can
them.
totally, yeah. Mhm. I can totally relate to that. I can
Yeah.
literally relate to that. It's the whole energy, it's the whole, and then you feel much calmer, more relaxed, and everything. I also wanted to bounce off of where you said, if you're constantly questioning yourself. Let me I'm gonna like swing it over a little bit, and you tell me where, like, if I'm defining this correctly. So now, when you're constantly like having anxiety, right? And you're like, oh, is this right for me? Is this right for me? Blah, 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 and you're constantly questioning yourself, right? If you're putting yourself and making yourself even more anxious, then that obviously you're in the wrong situation, right? Wrong timing, wrong situation, whatever. However, if you're making yourself anxious because you feel differently about this person than you have ever experienced prior, right? And you know that there's something, and now you're questioning yourself because you usually have more control over yourself, right? And these intense feelings are coming up, and you're like, what the fuck, and they're making you anxious, and you don't know what to do. And like, now you're closing yourself even, you're closing yourself up even more. That's different. That means that you have
Right.
work to do on yourself, and this person's triggering you, and that's your mirror. So that's totally different than, you know, uh, what you were saying before. I wanted to like differentiate, because there's
Yeah, no,
definitely
I'm glad you did.
has to
I'm
be.
glad you did. I'm glad you did, because that is actually a really good point. But once again, going back to your intuition, I think we know when it's coming from us, and we know when it's coming from outside. We just have to go back in and feel that vibration. Why am I feeling this way? You have to constantly ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? Is it something because of something that happened in my past, or because this guy gives me this butterfly effect that I can't explain? And do I need to fix something about myself, or is it a different type of anxiety where it's kind
Love
of
your
like,
sweatshirt, by the way. I just wanted to point that out
thank
to
you.
everybody. Spiritual gangster. Really love it. Yes, I'm staring at it as you're talking, but God. Sorry.
Yeah, or is it a different kind of anxiety, the one that you feel in your gut, that feeling of like this, something's off.
Yeah.
So there, you have to really kind of decipher, and everyone's going to decipher it differently, right? Because everyone lives in a different body. But using your intuition, is it coming from me, or is it coming from somebody else? The minute you hear it, you're going to hear it. It's going to be like that. And you're going to say, this is not coming from me. Why do I feel this way? Or I know why I feel this way. This is triggering something within me.
Right. Right. And yeah, I mean, I've been in situations where I've picked up on, you know, I've been in a relationship. It was my last relationship where, like the anxiety level. And I'm like, I know it's not me. I know it's like, and that's also, there's so many different, like, you could, I mean, we could really dive deep into this just in general, like picking up on anxiety. What anxiety, what type of anxiety is it? Is it just triggering you to remind yourself of something? Are you picking up on someone's actual like anxiety and what they're feeling? Is your nervous system shot from being in a situation where you're not supposed to be in anymore? Are you feeling anxious because you're like, oh my God, this is so different, this is so weird, I can't explain it, and I'm trying to deny myself, why I'm feeling like this? Like there's so many different aspects of like where all of this energy comes in. But I was with him and we were living together, and it's funny because I kept saying, there's something wrong. Like I know that there's something wrong because like the massive amounts of anxiety that I was like, this is not mine. And I would ask and I would ask, and he was so shut down and so closed off that he wouldn't say anything. He wouldn't speak, he wouldn't talk. And I was like, and like a lot of shit happened after that. But like had you just been able to, like use your voice, right? And being your true self, the whole, the whole vision, the whole view, the whole anything coming after that, would have been completely, the whole outcome would have been different, but again, we're also in contracts where, things need to play out the way that they are supposed to. So it's like a catch 22 all of the time when it comes to, your contract, your blueprint versus your human self and what's actually happening in the 3D. Always so much fun. But yeah, there's always, you really have to go with your intuition on every single thing, and don't, it's okay to second guess your intuition. And sometimes we guess wrong, and then we go down what we call the wrong path, but there is never a wrong choice, there is never a wrong path. It just kind of just diverts you and back to where you're supposed to be eventually. You always have to use your intuition. That's why it's so great to just be able to sit with yourself, and like really feel, where things are coming from, what you're being told, and where you feel them in your body. Masculine's heart, right? If you feel it in your heart, dude, then that's real. Women, I tend to feel it in my stomach, and I'm sure the majority of women feel it in their stomach, right? You get nauseous, your stomach gets tight, gets cringy, or you get the butterfly feeling, like that's all, like use your discernment. If it's coming like straight from your ego, that it's your ego, dude. Check that shit and move on, and
Shut the
go to
door.
a different source of your body and see where it's coming from and get a different answer, get a different response. So yeah, so that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add, sorry, I just wanted to add, using your intuition is a form of self-love. That's trusting
Oh,
yourself.
absolutely.
So, yeah, so it's about trusting yourself, using your intuition to know what's right for you and not, looking outside yourself for the answer. If you 9 out of 10 times, if you use your intuition, you feel like something's off and you go within and your intuition's telling you something's not right, it's because something's not right. Don't go ask somebody else, do you think that, this is not right? Or ask the person like, are you doing this X, Y, and Z? Because they're not going to give you the truthful answer. Inside, you hold that
Yeah,
power.
you can always know inside. So yeah, whether you want to look for external answers or not, they may not, though it doesn't matter what somebody tells you because you literally know the truth anyway. So it doesn't matter. Like you know the right answer, you know the right response, you know what to do. Whether you choose to do that or not, that's on you. And love yourself even when you don't, follow what you know to be true, and what you know you should do. And the more you set yourself back, just love yourself anyway, because you have to do the work in order to move forward. And some people stop themselves because you are afraid of the unknown. And I was one of those, right? I mean, how could you not be scared of the unknown?
Yeah.
It's literally the
Everybody,
unknown. But
everybody's
like,
scared of the unknown. It's like,
yeah, it's literally like the unknown. But you have to trust yourself, you have to trust your intuition, you have to trust source, you have to trust the universe, you have to trust your plan, like your personal blueprint plan. You
mhm.
have to move forward. You're not going to be able to see everything. You're just going to have to like step and then watch, how the universe catches you. And that's like bam, the end of like, that's the end all be all. Trust yourself, trust the universe, and just go. Self-love. Love yourself enough to trust yourself.
I love that. I think that's a perfect place to stop today. because that is just a perfect message. So I think that's a great place to stop and pick up next week.
Yeah. Am I doing the sign out? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay. So this was Nicole and Christy bringing it to you today on your special love, self-love episode. Happy Valentine's Day, guys, and peace out.
Happy Valentine's Day. Peace.